What's up friends, Chook here and welcome back to Bit Heroes. It is Thursday, it is capture day, and we are going to do some raid 4, hoping to get that duo bombs so we can make Welcome +4. Then we only need 1 duo bombs and 1 more Driffin, so 2 duo bombs and a Driffin in total to make him +5. So we're pretty close, as we have been for months. We just cannot seem to get these duo bombs, which is a shame. Now, speaking of capture rate, we had, and capture familiars, we had a chat quickly on Sunday about familiars and stabling them and the buff to the expedition familiars. So I have some options, and one of them is Yemic, who is a tank, obviously, that has, I can't remember his stats off the top of my head now. I talked about it on Sunday anyway, if you watch my Sunday video, but I think it's like 40% block and has a chance to shield his team and all the rest of it. Either way, he is probably what I'll start going for. So the invasion familiars got a huge buff, and because if we have a look here at one of mine, because I've got Fatty and I've got Gummy, wherever they are. Come on, where are you sons of bitches? Here we go. You can see that they don't have this brain augment, but they've been buffed with basically the equivalent of a legendary brain augment. So he was 12.5% deflect, and he was 25% chance to attack. Now it's 18% and 60%. And Gummy was, no, he was, I think Fatty might have been 15, now he's up to 18. Gummy was 12.5 up to 15, and same thing, he was 25% chance to spread shield, now he's 60%. So it's a pretty big buff, 2.5% absorb chance and 60% up from 25. And obviously when you stable them, that all, all these augments and stuff get boosted, right? The more you stable. So these guys are pretty good now, but they're not stable, they're just as they are. Sorry, these stats won't change, but all the augments will. So you add augments, so for this you would, maybe you add in some more deflect chance or something, and then, you boost that with stables and stuff. So on that topic, we were also thinking about stabling Bobodom, but I might put that to a back seat for now, because Yemic is 5 Yetis. Fatty is 5 Yetis. So, and we also need Yetis for Bobodom. So we need a metric shit ton of Yetis, basically. So if I just farm Yetis, they're going to be useful for everything, for the 3 tanks that I'm thinking of going forward. So Fatty here is actually really good, but he's a little bit weak defensively, stamina wise. But with augments and stuff, you can kind of fix what things are lacking in. But his deflect chance is awesome. The deflect ability, is awesome. And then there's 60% chance to attack weakest when he gets hit. So if you're going to use him as the main tank, majority of the time that he gets hit, he's going to attack people, which is super cool. Gummy is the same, but he's going to heal you, but the heal isn't that huge. So I think Fatty is a bit better, but as you can see here with the different stats, he's much more offensive. So he's kind of like a Roleska or a Oxlaroth, compared to this being more of a Zolovby type thing. So much more defensive, much more offensive, but with the augments you can change it up. And then if we get the Yemic schematic, we can add to that as well. So all of those, Yemic schematic, Fatty schematic, and Bobodom schematic, need Yetis. So I think for once we get the Walk-On +5, we're probably just going to do Yeti's dungeon for the rest of our lives. So once we'll keep doing raid 4 and raid 2 on capture rate day until Walk-On is +5. While we talk, we may as well do it. Here we go, let's do it. So we'll do this until Walk-On is +5, and then for the next forever, we'll do Yeti's dungeon. So I'm just putting it out there now. So in case people message or comment later saying, why are you just doing Yeti dungeon over and over again? Or can you do another dungeon? I'm sick of Yeti's dungeon, all that sort of stuff. I have to look out for me foremost. I always try and look out for you guys and help you guys and contribute as much as I can and give friend slots and help with advice and all that sort of thing. But I also need to do what I need to do to progress. So Yeti's dungeon is it, basically. So if we wanted to stable +5 stable Yemic or Fatty, because it's the same thing, it's just a crap ton of Yetis. So for Fatty at least, we've already made it. So we just need 5 stables worth. It's 5 Yetis each, so we need 25 Yetis to stable Fatty. We also need a heap of bacon, which I don't think I have enough bacon. But, you know, we can get that through expeditions and stuff in the future. Yemik will be 5 Yetis to make, and then another 25. So Yemik is 30 Yetis, Fatty is 25 Yetis, and Bobodom would be like, I think we've already made some, I think he's like 4 Yetis or something. So putting that all together, we're not going to need all 3, right? If we make a +5 Yemik, for instance, we probably won't need a +5 Yeti or a +5 Bobodom. So ultimately we need 25 to 30 Yetis to get a +5 something. Now I was talking about this earlier, about the difference between, this is before the buff, right? This is before the expedition buff. And I was talking about whether expedition fams, tanks and healers or whatever it be, were worth stabling, or whether to go for, like, especially as a free-to-play player or someone that's lower leveled, or, you know, someone that's not a whale effectively, to, you know, whether it was worth doing in expedition fams stabling, or whether it was worth going back for and stable like crap out of Bobodom and Wembo/Walkham. And back then I said go for Wembo, Walkham and Bobodom, you know, Wembo/Walkham and Bobodom. That still holds true now. If you do that, there's nothing wrong with that, and that's still a valid option. And if you're already like progressing through that, and you have like a +2 or +3 Bobodom and a +2 or +3 Wembo, continue, man. Like, it's still going to be really good. There's no problem with it at all. But with the buff to the expedition fams, that makes them more viable, right? So before they were a bit weak, now they're not that weak. But the difference being, if you're going to go for a Bobodom, for instance, you need a raid epic. So you need that Ragnar dude. I pause when I'm thinking about things because there's all the different names and all where they come from and stuff. So forgive me if I just stop talking for like a couple of seconds. I'm just trying to, my cogs are working in my head. So you need a raid 1 epic of Ragnar, and then you need 3 dungeon bosses, right? You need a Warty, you need a Yeti, and you need a Nosdudu. So all up, you need 4 epic familiars, but one of them is from a raid. As we can see here, raid familiars, whether they be epic or legendary, are way harder. Well, the legendary is only in raid, but the raid epics, at least, are way harder and have way less of a proc chance to come up than dungeon bosses, right? So for Bobodom, he's not as hard to stable as a Walkham or a Wembo is, because he only has the 1 raid epic. So if we go for Wembo, for instance, you need a Driffin, and you also need a squib. So there's 2 raid dungeon epics, right? So to get a squib and to get a Driffin is going to take way longer than getting 2 dungeon epics, right? 2 dungeon bosses. And Walkham's the same. We need a Driffin and a Duo Bombs. So that's why Bobodom is a solid choice as a tank, because he only has 1 raid epic. And that's obviously half the amount that you need for Bobodom and Walkham. And then the 3 raid dungeon, the 3 dungeon epics aren't as bad to get. This is why I've decided that, I think the community has decided that some of the expedition fams are now really viable and worthwhile. So if we're talking about a Yemik or a Fatty with the 5 Yetis, which we've just been over, that's 5 dungeon bosses. There's no epic, there's no raid epics, right? It's just dungeon epics. So we just talked about dungeon epics are way easier or have way higher of a percentage to come up for persuasion than raid epics do. And considering if you're like me and you don't spend gems on epics, you know, it could take you 20 raids for, like at the moment we're going for Duo Bombs. It could take 20 raids, it could take more. It's all RNG for a Duo Bombs to show up. Then, if you don't spend gems and you have, you know, you just throw gold at it, you know, you've got a 10% or 15% or whatever it is chance of it actually, you know, accepting your persuasion and you getting it. So hypothetically, raid epics can take a long ass time, and we know this because you know, we all play the game, right? So when you're in raid 1, and if you're following my advice or whatever, and you're going for Squibbo and you need Squib, And I've got a bunch of comments over the last year about it, just being like, what the hell, I've done like 30 raid ones, and Squib's come up once for persuasion, and it failed. What am I doing wrong? You're not doing anything wrong, that's just the way the game is. But if you did, you know, in 30 raids worth, let's say you did the equivalent of energy and all the rest of it, like, I don't know, probably 100 dungeon bosses, I pretty much guarantee you that you're going to get a dungeon boss come up more than once. I would say probably, you know, between 7 and 10 times as a guess. So 7 to 10 times is a lot better than once, right? Again, these are all just hypothetical numbers, but raid epics just don't come up as often as dungeon epics do. So we've done, this is what, our third raid here, maybe? Not only is the raid epic that we're going for not shown up, but none of them have. So yeah, I think dungeon are definitely easier. The only thing that raids have going for them is that every single pack of mobs has the potential to have the epic you're going for. So we're going for duo bombs. There's one here. There was one in the previous fight. There's probably going to be one in the next fight. So you'll have a chance to fight them more often, which means that, you know, you have a chance of them proccing more often. The same sort of logic that I threw up about the difficulty of raids, right? So if you can't do heroic raid every single time, but you can do hard raid every single time, you're better off doing hard raid, because you're going to fight the boss every single time. And every single time you fight the boss, you have a chance of it coming up with persuasion, but you're going to have a chance of getting a legendary, right? If you go to heroic and you only complete it 50% of the time or something, then half the time you're going to die on the boss and not kill him and not have any chance of getting loot. So you're better off killing him every single time and getting loot. This is the same thing as far as you know, raids and all that goes. Every single dungeon you do, you're going to have the chance, you're definitely going to kill the raid boss and have a chance of getting it persuasion. But at the same time, every single raid you do, you're going to have multiple chances to get the familiar you're after, so duo bombs at the moment. The only problem is that they're such a low chance of coming up with persuasion, it kind of averages out, right? And it's not actually like, oh, I need this duo bombs, he's going to come up 15 times in this raid. Well, I'm going to, you know, have 15 chances of catching him at, you know, on a fair percentage chance. No, it's like super low. It's like maybe like, you know, 3% or something of him coming up for persuasion. Again, I don't know the actual numbers, but it's super low. And the dungeon epics are much higher. Anyway, I think we've talked about that in depth to death. If you haven't understood what I've just talked about, then I have no idea how to explain it more. But, you know, considering Yemek and Fatty all use Yetis, us getting a bunch of Yetis can't hurt us, right? And also Bobbidom. So if we just get a bunch of Yetis, then we can use it on something. So even in this expedition coming up, we're going to do nothing but Yemek portal and hope for the schematic. Even if we don't get it, right? The Yetis we can use on Fatty. Or by the time we catch 25 Yetis, it's going to take a while, obviously. The expedition could come around again, and then we could find his schematic the second time. Or we could just catch Yetis and stockpile them, so when we get the schematic, we can just make it and +5 it straight away. Multiple options. All of them involve getting a crap ton of Yetis. So that's the plan. And yeah, as I said, we've gone through that extensively. So we'll finish off Walking +5 and then just smash out Yetis. So in the coming months, it'll just be a crap ton of Yeti dungeon. So I apologize in advance if that gets a bit stale or something. But, you know, that's the case. I mean, we've been doing Raid 2 and Raid 4 forever, trying to get +5 Walkham, and I haven't really had any complaints about, do something else. And if, you know, you're playing this game and everything, you understand that you have to, the whole game is repetitive, and you just do the same things over and over and over again. So I'm sure you understand. But I just thought I would give a heads up, and explain why we're doing it, and explain why, Expedition fams are a bit more viable these days, and pretty good. Anyway, that is all done. Speaking of oh my god, Expedition, not Invasion. Although Invasion has the same loot table, I think, but obviously doesn't have the fams that you can go for. So you can't get like the schematics and stuff in Invasion, but yeah, I think you can still get like the sets and all that. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, speaking of Expedition, it is up in not long. Where are we? 1 day, 20 hours at the time of recording, at least. So it's Saturday, right? Every Saturday, there's the reset. So it's not far. So Sunday, item find day, we will be doing it. Now, I talked about on last Sunday, item find day, about doing a super scroll and spending all of my badges and spending my I got 3 raid baskets and just doing like an hour-long video of just farming everything, But unfortunately, I most likely won't be able to do that because on Sunday I am starting the first day of moving house. So if you haven't been watching my channel for long, or you've been living under a rock and you have been watching my channel for a while, I'm moving house in the next month, and I will have better internet, and I will probably most likely be able to stream. But I need to get a new computer first, and I can't really afford it at the moment. So I've been toying with the idea of putting up a donation, like a PayPal donation button. So anyone out there, if you enjoy my content and you want to help me, you know, looking forward to me streaming or anything, and you just want to, you know, throw a little bit of money or something my way to help me get that computer, then I probably will do that. As a disclaimer, I don't expect anyone to donate, but if you wanted to help me out and, you know, get me streaming and all that sort of stuff, then there's a way to do it. But I definitely don't expect people to, and if, you know, people don't donate and stuff, you know, oh fuck you, I'll be angry type thing. No, I don't expect anyone to, but if you would like to and help me out, that would be amazing. So I'll probably put that in the video description coming, like every video description coming soon. And then obviously once I can afford the PC and whatnot, I'll just take that off, because, you know, you don't need to donate to me for no reason. Then when I start streaming, you know, everything's good. So that is the plan, but we are moving house in the next month or so. So the lady that was living in the house moved out yesterday, and so we have access to the house as of Sunday. And we start moving stuff. We've got to like rip up the carpet and put new floors and all the rest of it. So it's not like we're moving this weekend and we've moved in and like we're in there and using it as of like next week. It's about a 3-week turnaround, because we've got to rip up carpet, put floorboards, we've got to paint, all this sort of stuff. So it's going to be a little while until we get in there. But I am starting, you know, ferrying across boxes and all this sort of crap on Sunday. So as a result, I probably won't be around to be able to sit here for an hour or 2 or whatever it be, to do a crap ton of Bit Heroes content, which is unfortunate and annoying, considering it's going to be Sunday item find. The expedition is going to be brand new and out there. I want to smash out to get Yemic, all what we just talked about, but I probably won't be able to do it. But we'll see. If I can, I definitely will. But I don't know whether I will be able to. Hypothetically, I could do, like, I'll do Sunday item find like normal at 11 AM, like right on 11 AM, because I'm going to have to do it and then, you know, start doing house stuff. But maybe like Sunday night when I get home, maybe I could do some. So I might record like just normal Sunday item find video that goes for like, you know, 20-30 minutes or whatever it is. And then if I get some time at Sunday night and smash out some, maybe I'll record that and upload it midweek or something. But that's a very, very small hypothetical. But outside of that, once I get a day or an afternoon free, even if it's not Sunday item find or an item find day, I could just throw down a super scroll and some raid baskets and some badges and do a lot of expedition, say like on Wednesday or something. Not as, you know, as beneficial as doing it on a Sunday, because there's not that extra 50% item find, but, you know, at least I can do it. It also depends if the expedition goes for multiple weeks, right? If it goes for 1 week, then it's what it is. If it goes for 2 weeks, then the following item find Sunday could be a possibility, but I'll also be moving house on that day as well. So it's just come at a bad this expedition has come at a really bad time for me personally. So I think maybe during the day on like a Wednesday or something. I try and do it Tuesday, because that's 25% item find, I think, Tuesday. Monday's capture rate, Tuesday's item find. So I could try and do it Tuesday if I can. But we'll see. So I can't promise anything, but I'll try my best to get a longer expedition video out there for you guys. So as you can see with this video, quickly touching back on what we ranted about for like 15 minutes earlier. We've done like 5 dungeons now or something, and 5 raids, sorry, and not one of the duo bombs has popped up for persuasion. Not one like epic raid familiar at all has popped up for persuasion. So they're very rare, they're very hard to get, and then what, like I said, once they pop up for persuasion, if you just throw gold at them, they have a more than likely chance to say no, and then you have to keep going, keep going, keep going. If you throw gems at them, then you can definitely do that if you want to, but I personally don't, because I don't think it's worth it. Like, especially as a purely free to play, like I try to save up as much as I can to buy accessory box and stuff so I can get a legendary accessory. So, you know, I don't throw gems at it. Okay, so we've done a fair bit of raids. Let's do some dungeons quickly, and let's see if we can get a Yeti to proc, right? So this will be a much, much higher chance of the Yeti procking than the raid familiars. Again, I'm not sure of the actual numbers. I don't even know if the numbers are official, like if they are somewhere. If they are, then I'm sure a bunch of you know it already, but I've mentioned quite a few times that I don't really go looking for that and going looking through forums and the wiki and all this sort of stuff for information on absolutely everything. I kind of just learn while playing and talking to people. So if you know what the percentages are, then you can let me know in the comments. But I think it's something like, I knew that Oxler is like 0.01, right? So it's like a stupidly low chance. But I think, like, I'll just hypothetically say that, yeah, raid familiars might be like 1 or 2%, and dungeon ones might be like 5 or 6%. So it's not huge. It's not like every time you do a dungeon you expect the boss to show up, but it's you know, a considerable amount higher than the raid ones. So we'll do a few dungeons. This was not the one, and see how many Yetis we can, you know, get to show up. So just from personal experience, when I was doing the Yetis to make Fatty, he probably came up 30 times before I got all 5. So the fact that he came up 30 times signifies and shows you that they come up quite a bit. If I had 30 duo bombs pop up, like, it would take forever. So yeah. So dungeon bosses are definitely easier. You can also, if you're trying to get, you know, like my thing right here, if I'm trying to get Yeti, for instance, you also have the chance of getting a schematic out of it. So you could get the Bobbidom schematic if you don't already have it, or you could get the Yobo schematic, which hopefully you would have by now. Yeti's dungeon isn't the best, I would say, because it's only got Bobbidom and Yobo, I think, are the main, like, decent schematics in it. But if you were to do like Gems dungeon, you have a chance of getting both Bobbidom and Walkham and Gummy, and, well, not the schematic, but Gem goes towards Gummy. So there's like quite a few things. So if you were to go for a expedition fam and get the 5 of them that you need, or if that's what the schematic involves, of course, you also have, you know, doing dungeons, have a chance of getting those schematics. You also have a chance of gobbies showing up. So if you need gobby for either Robbie or I think it's Goblin, which is another expedition familiar, then you have the chance of getting gobby. So there's definitely pros to doing it. Obviously the familiar you're going for is what is the main thing, but there's other kind of fringe benefits for doing it. So if you've got a Goblin, for instance, which I think is, well, it's definitely a gobby plus something. I think it might be Demon Hide or something. I'm not 100% on that because I don't have the schematic. But you were also working towards Fatty, for instance, or Yemek. So you just did a crap ton of Yeti dungeons. Eventually, Gobby's going to show up. You know, he would probably show up quite a few times while you were trying to get 25 or 30 Yetis. Now, he is basically like a Oxler or whatever, and he has a super low percentage chance of actually coming up for Persuasion. I have a feeling he has a slightly higher percentage because I've had 3 of him pop up for Persuasion in the time I've been playing. I caught 2 and I missed 1, but I threw gold at all of them. So I've been quite lucky with Gobbies, but I turned them both into Robbies because back in the day that was the only schematic that he went into. So I've got a Robbie +1, and Robbie's pretty good, man. He's not bad. He's got like a bunch of crit. He's got an attack all. He's kind of tanky. He's kind of like a jack of all trades. He's got a lot of damage. He's pretty tanky, and whatnot. I think he might even have a heal. Don't quote me on that. I mean, we can check. Let's check, right? We'll go through Robbie and see what he's all about. Here he is. So he has no augments, obviously. 60% crit, so that's massive. It's like Remoraid or Cogs, so pretty good. A lot of damage, decent amount of speed. Not the most stamina, but he's actually kind of tanky. Like I find him kind of tanky. Okay, so he's got his auto attack. Closest enemy, damage to all. And he does have a heal. Spread, heal teammate, and then damage to target enemy as well. 2 SP for these two, but you still have the option, right? Having those options, having a target damage is massive. And look at it. Look at the damage on it as well. You do that and it crits, and you got more of a chance of it critting than not. Stupid damage. You've also got the attack all. If that crits, stupid damage to everybody. Robbie is definitely not bad. I don't think he's top tier anymore, but he's not bad. If you have him and you're like, I should have got Goblin or something, you weren't to know, right? Expeditions weren't even a thing back in the day. Like they weren't even like, you know, an idea probably back in the day. So I've got 2 Robbies. Had I just had 2 Gobbies and they were just sitting there, I would probably fuse Gobbin, whatever its name is, instead, because I know he's a pretty decent healer. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is, by doing this, you'll have Gobbies show up, and you know, should you be able to have gems or whatever and persuade a bunch of them, then you could also, by trying to get your Yetis, also stable your Goblins, and then you've got, by the time you get all your Yetis, you're going to have a shit hot +5 tank with, you know, chuck all your augment stuff in there, and you also could hypothetically have, you know, a +2 or 3 Goblin as well, if you're lucky. So fringe benefits, right? Fringe benefits. I don't have the Goblin schematic, and if I did, I don't have a Gobby anyway to use it for. But if you do, and all those, you know, stars line up and all that sort of stuff, then you could probably do it. So far, no familiars have shown up. We already know that and talked about the raids being hard and whatnot, but no Yetis just yet. I think if I did all of my energy on camera, that we probably would get a Yeti to show up, but this video is already 27 minutes long. I mean, we can keep going, I don't mind, and a lot of you do like the longer videos, so maybe we'll go for a little bit more. I'll check how much energy I have as well. So today is capture rate, so ultimately I should be doing capture rate and not be doing raid 10 if I'm to utilize the daily bonus, right? I know there's no rule or anything, pardon me, and a lot of people, you know, just do. Here we go. There we fuck, easy, right? Easy. I'm not gonna bribe again because I would only be able to bribe like 4 times, and then I would have no gems. Whereas if I just do persuade with gold, I got a 15%, which is not huge, but I get to keep all my gems. And considering they come up more often, you know, eventually you're going to get them via gold. We do need 30 or 25, so it's going to take a long ass time, but we'll go with this and hope for the best. 1 down, 29 to go. So that illustrates my point perfectly. Thanks, Yeti. You're a champ. That illustrates my point perfectly. So I think that's like the cherry on top of the rant cake I just gave you. So that's good. I'm happy that happened. I'm happy that happened to get a Yeti, but more so to, you know, kind of back up my story. All right. So I know a lot of these things that I say and all the rant that I've done for the last 28 minutes is common knowledge to a lot of you, if you've been playing for ages and stuff, but I know there's a crap ton, probably, I would say the majority of people that watch my Bit Hero content are newer players. And then I know there's a heap of you that are like friends of mine that I've met playing the game and on my Discord server and stuff, and you know, higher level players and stuff that just watch for the sake of Bit Hero content and like to see my progress as a free-to-play player and all that sort of stuff. So that's cool, and I appreciate that. But there's also like a crap ton of newer players, and I constantly get questions about how do I do this or what's better, this, that, the other. So I like to go through and, you know, give advice and give my opinions and talk about things that like people that have been playing the game for ages would know, or have a fair idea about. but it also helps those low level players out with kind of some information. So this video was more focused on that. But you know, it helps everybody out, you know, keeping track of things and reminding yourself of stuff and whatnot. And with the addition to augments, that's changed a lot, right? So stabling has become way more important. It's good that I did all these dungeons, man. I had 10 bounties. I just haven't done them at all. But doing like a few of them has just knocked them all out. Now I've got 2 left. So this will get knocked out in 4, and this, you know, eventually we'll just get that done. So I've talked about bounties in previous videos, like building up, and you can only have a maximum of 10. So like the bonuses aren't the best thing ever, but they're free, so there's no point to not do it. And you know, there's some gem bonuses in there, and you know, whatnot, so it's definitely worth doing. Don't neglect them, which I kind of did because I was just focused so much on raid 7. But you only have 10, so if you get to 10 and you log in the next day, you won't get up to 12. Like you will just stay at 10. So try and keep them down low and just try and do them as often as you can. And this is why, again, if anyone's wondering why I'm doing the dungeon solo and not with friends or something. First of all, I can do it solo and I don't need friends to complete it. And second of all, a lot of, in fact, we've got one here. Oops, wrong button. A lot of these bounties are defeat 9 dungeons without other players. So you could do this with 2 familiars because familiars aren't players, right? So I could come in here with my Oxlaroth and Walkham if I wanted to complete this. But considering I can complete it just by myself, that also counts. So there's bounties that are like complete dungeons without other players. There's dungeons that are complete dungeons solo, which is exactly what I'm doing here, just solo completely by yourself. There's ones that are like, you know, defeat 100 enemies in dungeons. There's defeat 5 dungeon bosses or something. So there's a lot of bounties to do with dungeons. So if you can do a dungeon that you're farming a familiar for, again, just like this, if you're going for gem or Yeti or Grims or whatever it be you're looking for, and you can do it by yourself with no threat of dying, I recommend doing that because it'll knock a lot of your bounties out. And just by doing this every once in a while, just, you know, do 3 or 4 dungeons just by yourself, you'll knock out a lot of those bounties without even thinking about it or worrying about it or aiming for it. So generally my bounties never get over like 5, generally, because I'll be doing dungeons by myself once in a while to get something or try to get something. So without even trying or looking at them, you generally just knock them out, and you'll see like this bounty has been completed. And you're like, I don't know what it was, but I completed it just by playing. So I know a lot of them are tied to dungeons, and a lot of those dungeons are to do with either doing it solo or without friends. So if you can do it solo, just do it. Makes your life a hell of a lot easier, and you knock out those bounties nice and quick. So there's another tip. I don't think I have that much energy left, so we could use it all to try and get another Yeti, which would also show if it comes up more often than, like, if I can get 2 Yetis within, you know, 250 energy or whatever it was. So a heroic dungeon costs 30 energy. So every 30 energy, you have a chance of getting the dungeon boss, like a chance of it popping up, right? So if you have 300 energy, you got 10 heroic dungeons. There you go. Second one. 2 in 4 dungeons, 3 dungeons, maybe even 2 dungeons. So again, another cherry on top of my rant cake, and showing you evidence that this is, you know, these guys are way easier to catch. Well, not way, they are easy to catch. I think it might be 15% on raid fams as well, but way easier to come up to catch. Can we go 2 in a row? We can't. So that's the problem with any familiar. You're gonna fail more often than not, like way more often than not, like 85% more often than not, if you go for gold, if you persuade with gold. But persuading with gold is effectively free. You know, the gold you spend on it is marginal. If you're early game and like you know you're only level 50 or something, gold might be an issue. But if you've been playing forever, gold is not an issue. We've got 3.35 mil, and I think to persuade is like 5,000 or something. I can't remember what it was. It was just there, but I didn't really pay attention because anything gold related, actually before we do that, is trivial these days. But you can, even if you've got 3.35 mil, I think I had 10 mil at some point, you can smash out and just waste, not waste, but you can use gold super quick. So a way to do that, and what I've been doing. And I got down to like the high hundreds of thousands. Like I got under a mil. And the way I'm spending my gold / wasting my gold is trying to get this 4th legendary dual strike rune. So I have 3 dual strikes and an empower rune. Empower is not bad. Empower is probably the best DPS attribute, we'll say. But I really like dual strike. Like, it's my favorite. Might not be the best, but I've talked about a million times before, I'm not a min-maxer. I don't care about being the absolute best, you know, OP, best in slot everything. I just play with what I like, and I really like dual strike. And to showcase just that point is my dual strike chance is, I've gone too far, 33%. My power's 8.5, which is still good, like decent-ish, but 33% of dual strike. So I have basically a third of the time I attack twice, which is super good. And now that they've changed when they balance DPS and tanks, and now dual strike doesn't, damage reduction or mitigation or whatever it was doesn't do on dual strike. So I'm not making a lot of sense here, but dual strike is better because it doesn't, the tanky stats don't mitigate it twice or something. I can't, what's the word? I can't explain what I'm trying to say. But dual strike got a hell of a lot stronger, and that's lucky for me, because like I said, I don't really, you know, I don't do min-max best things ever. I just like the idea of attacking twice. So I've, like, since the very start of the game, have been stacking as much dual strike as I possibly can. And now there's been an update that's come out and gone, hey guys, dual strike's like really good now. And I'm like, hooray, I did stuff without trying. So that's nice. I have been trying also since the dawn of time to get Melvin Champ accessory, which is, I believe it's 20% dual strike, 5% crit. Either way, I don't care about the crit. Well, I do, but I don't. 20% dual strike. That's what I want. That's what I want. But obviously getting a legendary accessory is, well, 306 levels of hard to get, and then getting the one you want also hard to get. I got really lucky with my pet and got Tobit. I've got a bug in my face. That was really lucky, and I kind of got lucky in a way. I mean, I have spent like 30k plus gems, so it's not probably lucky. It's more of an attrition thing of finally getting something decent. I did get Traveling Chef, which is dual strike, which was 15% dual strike, and I've upgraded it 3 times to get 18. So if I got a legendary accessory that didn't have dual strike on it, I'd be a bit like, oh crap, like maybe I shouldn't use it, because currently I've got 33% dual strike. And if I used something that didn't have any dual strike, I'd go down to, well, what's 33 minus 18? 15%? Is that right? So from going to 33 to 18 to 15 is huge. That's a massive loss of percent, obviously. So Melvin Champ is, in my eyes, the only accessory I really, really, really want. So it's 20%, which is obviously 2% more than I have right now. But every time you upgrade it, you get more percentage. So being a legendary, it would be expensive to upgrade, quite a bit expensive to upgrade, I would say. But I have bought a bunch of accessories in the past, so I would have a bit of those accessory dust things, whatever it's called. I also have that 80% one triple upgraded, so I did spend a lot of the accessory dust on that accessory to upgrade it from like just normal 2+3 or 3 out of 3 maxed, whatever. So I probably don't have as much as I think I do. Again, if I got Melvin Champ, I would exchange this Traveling Chef, and I would get stuff back. But if I was to get another a legendary that's not Melvin Champ, I would never exchange that Traveling Chef, because if I ever want to come back and have a bunch of dual strike, then I have it there. So I wouldn't. The only reason I would ever exchange Traveling Chef is if I got Melvin Champ. Otherwise, I'm keeping it. So there's even people now that use epic accessories like Traveling Chef specifically because they want to focus on that one stat. So a lot of the more recent accessories have like a bunch of heaps of stuff, like 5% dual strike, 5% in power, 5% lifesteal, 5% this, 5% that, you know, 10% crit, something like that. So it's like a broad like thing that helps everything, which is great. But if you really want to focus on one stat like I have, you're going to lose a bunch. So there's people that focus on like plus damage, and so they'll use like, I don't have it, so I can't showcase it. That's annoying. But one of these wings, it's like black wings. I'm not sure what they're called, but it has 15%, fully upgraded 18% plus damage. So if you just wanted to get like just more raw damage, you know, you could use those wings, and for that purpose, it's probably going to be better than the legendary accessory you have. Legendary accessories just in general are better than epic. So don't get me wrong, like if you've got a legendary, don't go, oh, he's saying that they're crap, use an epic instead. That's not what I'm saying. Legendary accessories are the best you can get, unless you get that set one with the pet. If you get both the set accessory and the set pet, then that's pretty good. But in general, legendary accessories are the way to go. But I'm saying if you want to really like focus on just one stat, and you have the accessory of that one stat you're going for, then you're going to get more of that one stat from your epics than one of those legendaries that has a bunch of everything on it. So yeah, that makes sense, I think. But Melbourne Champ, I think it's called Melbourne Champ, the accessory that I'm going for, I'm hoping for, is basically Traveling Chef, but better, right? So Traveling Chef is just 18% dual strike. Just the base Melbourne Champ is 20% dual strike, obviously 2% more, and then it has, I think it's crit chance on it as well. So it's just better in every way. And then obviously every time you upgrade it, those stats get boosted by 1% each time as well. So max it would be 23% dual strike and 8% crit. That's of course if it is 20% dual strike and 5% crit, which I'm pretty sure it is. So that topic is now covered. This is a much longer video. So there you go. We're at 42 minutes. So that's a bit of a marathon actually. I think we have enough energy. There we go, another bounty done. I think we have enough energy for another 2 dungeons. We definitely have another one. I think we were at 80, was it 88, 68 energy. So by the time we do a few dungeons more, the 2 energy we need, because we're at like whatever it is, 68 say. Well, we'll check right now. Oh, okay, we're at 28. We were at 28. So to do another heroic dungeon, we'd need 30, and we're 3 minutes away from getting that. So there's no reason to just sit around for 3 minutes. We'll just call the episode here. We could do a raid and then come back, but that's just prolonging things. I think 42 minutes is more than enough. But there you go. We had a big chat. What I chatted about came true and kind of showcased that fact. So long story short, summarizing everything, Expedition Familiars are now definitely viable, and if they're ones like the ones I'm going for, and it's just a butt ton of dungeon bosses, then it's definitely a way to go, and potentially easier than the ones that involve raid epics. That's it. All right, well, that's Thursday item find done. As I mentioned, I will definitely be doing a Sunday capture rate done. Sorry, I will definitely be doing a Sunday item find video. I just don't think it'll be as long and as big and you know as I wanted to, but things could change. We'll see on Sunday. Either way, that is it for now. Hopefully you enjoyed it. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. If you like this video, click here to see another one just like it. If you're new to the channel and like what I'm doing, click here to subscribe and become the newest member of the Chicken Coop. If you really like what I'm doing, you can find a link to my Patreon in the description, where you can help support me and help the channel grow. You'll also find a link to the channel's Discord server where you can chat with me and other members of the Chicken Coop. And don't forget to hit that notification bell